a lot of people think that when I speculate, I believe something.
Right.
That's not true, right? Speculation is just creativity. Speculation is the beginning of hypothesis. None of what I hear in terms of the anecdotes do I necessarily believe are they true. But I still find them fascinating to listen to because at some level, they're still raw data. And you have to listen. And once you start to hear the same story again and again, then you have to say, well, there might be something to it. I mean, maybe it's some kind of a Jungian background in the human mind and human consciousness that creates these stories again and again. It's coming out of the DNA. It's coming out of that pre-programmed something. And Jung talked quite a bit about this kind of thing, the collective unconscious. But actually, one of the most interesting ones I find is this constant message that you're not taking care of your world. And this came long before climate change. It came long before many kinds of, let's say, current day memes around, taking care of our planet, pollution, et cetera. And so, for instance, perhaps the best example of this, the one that I find the most fascinating, is a story out of Zimbabwe. 50 or 60 children one afternoon in Zimbabwe. It was a well-educated group of white and black children who at lunchtime in the playground saw a craft, and they saw little men. And they all ran into the teachers, and they told the same story, and they drew the same pictures. And the message several of them got was, you are not taking care of your planet. And it got, there's actually a movie coming out on this episode. And 30 years later now, the people who were there, the children who've now grown up, say it happened to us. Now, did it happen? Was it some sort of hallucination, or was it an imposed hallucination by something? Was it material? I don't know. But these kids were 7 to 10 years old. You see them on video. 7 to 10-year-olds can't lie like that. And so, whether it's real or not, I don't know. But I find that fascinating data. And again, it's these unconnected stories of individuals with the same story that is worthy of further inquiry.
Yeah, so here we are, humans with limited cognitive capacities, trying to make sense of the world, trying to understand what is real and not. We have this DNA that somehow in complex ways is interacting with the environment, and then we get these novel ideas that come from the populace, and then they make us wonder about what it all means. And so how to interpret it. If you think from an alien perspective, how would you communicate with other lifelike organisms? You perhaps have to find endpoints on this interaction between the DNA and its manifestations in terms of the human mind and how it interacts with the environment. So it gets some kind of, all right, what is this DNA? What is this environment? I have to get in somehow
Right.
to interact with it, to perturb the system to where these little ants, human-like ants, get excited and figure
and see
stuff out. Yeah,
right.
yeah, and then somehow steer them. First of all, for investigative purposes, understand oftentimes to understand a system, you have to perturb it.
Exactly. Yeah.
To poke at it. They get excited or not, and then the other way is you want to. If you worry about them, you can steer in one direction or another. And this kind of idea that we're not taking care of our world. That's interesting. I mean, that's comforting. That's hopeful, because that means the greater intelligence, which is what I would hope, would want to take care of us.
We want to take care of the gorillas in the national parks in Africa.
Yeah, but we don't want to take care of cockroaches. So there's a line we draw. Yeah. So you have to hope that...
Right now, we're a bunch of angry monkeys. And, maybe whatever these intelligences are also keeping an eye on us. That you don't want a bunch of, you don't want the angry monkey troop stomping around the local galactic arm.
Do you think these folks are telling the truth? Do you think they saw what they say they saw?
I think they saw what they said they saw, but I also think they saw what they were shown. I mean, if you go back to the whole notion of, okay, how long has this been around? It didn't just start showing up in 1947, right? There are stories going back, into the 1800s of people who saw things in their farm fields in the U.S. It's in local newspapers from the 1800s. It's fascinating. But if you can go even further back, so to your point of how would you, as a higher intelligence, represent yourself to a lesser intelligence? Well, let's go back to pre-civilization. Maybe you show yourself as the spirits in the forest, and you give messages through that. Once you get a little bit more civilized, then you show yourself as the gods. And then you're God. Well, we don't believe in God anymore necessarily. Not everybody does. So what do we believe in? We believe in technology. So you show yourself as a form of technology, right? But the common thread is you're not alone. And there's something else here with you. And there's something that's, as you said, watching you, and at least watching over your shoulder. But I think that, like any good parent, you don't tell your student everything. You make them learn. And learning requires mistakes, because if you tell them everything, then they get lazy.